Want to welcome everyone to today's Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners, the in-person working session public meeting. We're working with a revised agenda from yesterday, it's only the times. With that, I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. DeRoss?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
Mr. Hashins, a yes, unanimous. This meeting is being recorded for playback later on WRPS, YouTube. Old business, do we have the minutes from last meeting?
We do not. I
Okay.
got a little mixed up on the dates, but they'll be ready next time.
Okay. Robin, you're on.
Okay,
Can I, before you go,
sure.
when you go on to that, can you just touch base on what you did with me yesterday on the ordinance, on the town meeting for the vote, for the grinder?
Oh, what we spoke about with
Yeah.
the ordinance? Okay.
Yeah.
So that conversation came up about the grinder because of, I forget what project it was that was looking for sign off.
Dwyer.
Oh, Dyer Street, okay.
Dwyer.
So one of the requirements is that they have the grinder station, and we ended up in a discussion because the person from Dyer Street was here, so we made it a requirement for him to put in a grinder station. We also, at the same time, last year, added that to the sewer ordinance, but the official sewer ordinance, does that not include it? It's not included in the official language because that has to go before town meeting to get voted on by the people. So, but just because it's not in the sewer ordinance doesn't mean that you can't impose restrictions in an ever-changing environment. And we've imposed that restriction, and I think there was another that came to mind at the same time.
There was, because 320 Concord Street we imposed it upon them, and we were questioning whether we were gonna do it to 365.
Right, and the other thing that came out of that was we, as of the last superintendent, been requiring them to test the manholes, pressure test,
Right.
at their expense as well. Those things are not in the sewer ordinance, but they're at the discretion of the superintendent or the board at this point.
So if we wanna make that part of the ordinance, it has to be voted on, but like as Robin said, we can always just say it's a condition.
Right,
Okay, sorry about that, I just wanted
and there
to,
was more to that discussion too. There was there's a reference in the existing
$20.
ordinance that says $10 for the, what is it, sewer development?
Yep.
But it's just a reference only, it says current pricing, and so we were talking about, do you want that in there or not? My feeling would be no, and also, my opinion would be to take out the reference altogether. That
To the
references the
fee?
ten, yeah,
The fee amount?
it's the only fee that's referenced in the sewer
Yes.
ordinance, and it really shouldn't be, because if you make that the way to change the fee, then you're subject to having to go to town
every
meeting,
time.
when it
Right.
really should be part of our regular table of fees. So I would
Yes.
suggest removing that, even though you're not held to it because it's really a reference, I would just consider removing that altogether.
And I would agree. The other thing I was thinking of last night, Bob Galvin recommended we go to rules and regulations, which does not have to go to town hall. If we got pushed to include it in something, we could always include it in the rules and regulations
And
and
you
put it
can
in bold letters
also-
as a reference only.
And you can also, you don't have to specify the dollar amount, you can just say,
Right, you
see
can
current
just-
fee
Yes.
schedule.
Right,
Exactly,
I like that
reference
Never
the fee
reference a
schedule.
specific
Okay.
amount
But you
because it
still
goes
have
out
to
of
go to
date.
town meeting to change it from a sewer ordinance to a rules and regs.
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
Okay,
Correct. But going forward, any reference to a dollar amount should just say, see current fee schedule.
Right.
correct.
I
I
like
And
agree.
then you don't
I
have
agree.
to
I
ever
like
update
that.
it again.
Right,
Okay.
I'm not sure why it was referenced originally with a price, but, all right. Moving along, so Rockland Rink, they are requesting a final sign-off. David Taylor did inspect that when he was the superintendent. He does have pictures from the pressure testing of the manholes. So unofficially, it's been approved. Officially, it hasn't been. But I've been told that when they have when a development has outstanding amounts with other departments on their building permit, that we wait until all fees have been paid to other departments before we give the final sign off.
Okay.
So I did a little investigating, because I'm not sure how that actually works the final sign off, so I was looking for their permit online through the building department, because I do have permission to do it that way if you guys actually officially voted on it or signed off on it. So that's pending with the building department. I don't know how you wanna proceed. Do you wanna keep the outstanding amount is to highway, I have a call into water, and I don't know if they've paid off water. The other two things are electric.
I keep it outstanding
Yes.
till the outstanding paid. My feeling, you guys?
So is there a procedure on these final sign-offs? Is there a checklist? Or is it just,
Well, mostly
People know
everything
what to
is,
do.
no, people know what to do. I didn't know what to do because I haven't been
Mm.
around for that part of the
Mhm.
cycle, but that's why I have those calls in place.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can sign off online,
Mhm.
but when I opened up the permit online, I only saw electric and gas. So it looks like water, sewer, and highway might be outside of that process.
Mhm.
So I'm just trying to iron it out. David said he would forward at least the pictures that he took.
If you
So
could,
I
that'd be
can-
good.
Yeah, I can keep that as part of the record. And then I have a call into John Lucas to see what's the actual, like, is there, like, do we just give you a signature on the building permit that they have? Do we
Right.
give you a letter or an email?
That's my
So-
next question. What's the
Yeah.
record?
Okay, I'll have John wants to handle it.
So I'm just waiting to hear back.
If there's no written procedure or process.
So were you in agreement that we'll pend the approval
Yes,
based on them paying all the department fees?
yes. Bless you.
So Robin, are you using the online system for those, to check all this?
Well, they gave me access to their online system, and when I looked up the address for this project, I noticed that, well, building only covers electric and gas, and all of the other departments weren't on there, so I'm not sure if that's why I think we work outside that process.
Right, so I guess my question is, you're gonna just have to keep going back to every department periodically? I mean, there's no notification?
Right,
How are you
well,
gonna
I'll
know?
figure that out when I talk to John, because this system is newer for them too.
Yeah,
And I know I did approve one sewer project on there,
yeah,
just recently,
Yeah.
which is why they gave me access to it.
yeah.
So it might just be that this has been around for a little bit, so the other departments weren't on it, but going forward, we might be. So when I get clarification on all that, I'll let you know.
See how it plays out.
Yeah. All right, so, let's see. There's a new residence section on the town website, and I bring this up because I know you're interested in changing the website. The new residence section, we don't have access to, but I did notice on there that the sewer rates were older rates. So I reached out to the town clerk, because I think it falls under them, but they're busy with, of course, the election this week, so Gino stepped up and changed that. And I asked him to make one more minor change as well, but that's in a different section. So if you wanna just note that when we're changing rates and stuff, we need to do that as well. So that was just informational.
I'm thinking there should be one rate sheet and everybody links to it. So you don't have to update it
This is a new residence section,
Mm-hmm.
so it's information for
Yeah.
them.
Gino can figure that out.
But, and we're all in there, but we're all in there with our older fees, so we just have to remember, when we change our fees, to notify
update
the
it.
clerk's office to update for new residents.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this one's a little bit odd. Before, we had a property that went into tax title, and we went to, John Ellard was the treasurer at the time, and when he went into foreclosure, he got enough fees to pay off water and sewer. This one here, I don't know when it went into foreclosure, but they didn't pay water and sewer. So they owe us $173.40. And I wanna know if you want me to take steps to talk to Allison and try to get the money back, or lien it with the town administrator's office. I'm not sure what you wanna do about that. But the town now owns the property because it went into foreclosure.
If town owns it, I'd lean it to the town administrator's office.
All right, so it's 59 Spring Street, so I'll follow up with Doug and Allison.
Is that house they were tearing down? If you take the left?
I'm not sure, it might be. The one that was fenced in and now the
Yeah.
building's been gone, yeah, it might be that
It's
location.
gotta be that, 'cause that's real close.
I mean, it's not a lot of money, but we would have to abate that amount,
Yeah.
and we really shouldn't,
No.
because someone took possession of it. All right, Merrill Engineers contacted me regarding a two-family home on Cary Street. They wanna get on the wait list for sewer. Not sure what they're doing there, and so I wanted to understand from you how you want them to get on that wait list. Do they need to
Okay.
come in front of you?
Two-family home is not subject to the moratorium. It's 3 or more.
Okay,
So he can just submit the plans come before us. It's 3 homes or more, four, yes, 3 units or less. They're not subject to the moratorium.
all right, so I'll ask them.
They wouldn't have to
What?
go on a waiting list.
I don't know what their time frame is, so I'll let them know that they need to make an appointment to come in front of the board
Yep.
at a future meeting.
But let them know that they're not subject to the moratorium.
I wrote that down too. iPads for GIS.
Yep, I have that.
All right, so we have 2 iPads for the sewer department. They currently are with Gino in the IT department. We have a 10-inch model and a 12-inch model. And they were purchased to interact with the GIS system, which is now complete through EPG, well, Environmental Partners. Veolia wants us to issue one of them to them for their use for all of the mockouts. So I talked to Gino about that, and one's a 10-inch, one's a 12-inch, so he was suggesting that we give the 10-inch model to Veolia, and at the same time that we set it up with mobile device management software, so we can track it if anything happens. And then the other question that came up was, should we set it up with a town email address? And
I would say sure.
I agree with that, because we don't want it to be going to a Veolia address that may change, and we want to be in control of
Right.
that address.
The other thing I was
since
thinking,
it's our
Rob,
equipment.
is how about, does Dave have a laptop? If not, he should take that other one for highway. Or at least use it
No,
for now.
he has his own iPad for that, and this one's reserved for the superintendent
All right,
for GIS.
Yeah.
David already
Yeah.
has an iPad.
all right, does it, yeah.
Highway should have their own.
Yeah, they do.
Well, I'm saying if he
Yeah.
didn't have one, he should have access
Yeah.
to that, and
Good.
that would help him out a lot.
Yeah, no, we have so that one's reserved for the superintendent. They're not even gonna load the software on that one
Yeah,
yet,
okay,
because it's still in the packaging. So I can let Gino know that we definitely will use the
yeah,
town email
and the
address.
town address, you know.
Mhm.
Now, is he gonna provide training is there any training involved to,
EPG has to provide the training, so Veolia would have to reach out to EPG for the training.
okay,
I believe it's at their expense as well, but I'm not sure, but anything they spend anyway comes back to us in the long run. So I'll just make a note to have Rick reach out to, EPG.
so you guys are aware of that, when we did the facility study back in 20, Roy Pierce took all our drawings and put them on electronic file. So,
No, EPG did it. Right, EPG did that. I
uh,
think it started with Wright Pierce and then it ended up EPG.
oh, I see, I don't know, I know Roy Pierce started it back in December of 20, but if they did it,
The actual scanning and software came from EPG, and I think they
Okay.
provide the training. I don't
Okay.
even know, there might not even be a fee for the training, I don't know, but I'll have
Alright.
Rick reach out to them. And I'll let Gino decide what the town email address should be, unless you guys have a preference for something.
no, I think it should be tied into you, to the sewer department.
Why
Just-
not Rockland Sewer?
I don't want emails to come to Rockland Sewer, because
Alright.
that's too much for me. It should go
Okay.
to an email address that they can
They
access.
can, okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying, but
Because
somehow
I
they,
would then have to forward it to
but
them.
you should have all the
Right.
any passwords to it.
Okay. Like, it's
So the
probably gonna
email's
be.
gonna go to
It's probably gonna be
Rockland
GIS at rockland-ma.gov,
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
and then,
and then share the passwords and
Right.
access.
Yeah, but Robin should get
Just
the
like they do
password
with
as the
us.
administrator.
Yep. Yep.
alright. We spoke about this, application for a standard permit, Rick needed it for through the fire department, it gives out a dig safe number,
Yeah.
that's done,
Okay.
so, file that away. Certificate of insurance, all right, so we rented a generator. We rewired that generator, the temporary generator, and they were looking for us to pay a fee for this insurance. And so I reached out to Doug Lapp, because we now have our insurance through Town Hall on Hub. He got us a certificate of insurance, so we don't have to pay that fee, and our current generator is out for service.
We're gonna be talking about the generator later on.
All right, so I'm gonna file, this is complete as far as my portion of it is, so file that. Okay, so Dyer Street, they have 2 weeks window to get the street opening permit, and they haven't started the process yet. So that's not gonna happen. So meanwhile, they haven't paid their fees for their sewer development permit and I&I remediation. He claims, the developer claims he wasn't aware of it, which is, hard to believe since his representative and maybe even he himself participating in our meetings. So I'm just gonna keep this as a pending. Right now, you guys already shut them down, water has shut them down. They can't get a street opening permit, which should give them plenty of time to pay their fees before they're allowed to open the road and continue to work on sewer.
Should we send them written notice of those fees?
They know of the
They know.
fees, they got them.
Or should
We had them in yesterday.
He knows,
Because
yeah.
I was feeling very uncomfortable with it. I asked Robin to sit in with me as well, to take notes, as well as Pat Brennan, the town engineer. Again, he's gone, the way this transpired, he was sending people left and right coming down for drain layers licenses after we stopped them. And I did not feel comfortable with the project. There's no water going on that site, gas, anything. And when he said that he was not aware of the fees, I was in disbelief, because he was here for that meeting we had last year. And as Robin said, there's no way he's gonna get that trench permit in 2 weeks, so. Bless you.
We have discussed, he's had problems with other people that he's retained. His engineering company, his general contractor, and 3 different people came down to apply for the drain layers license. So the whole deal seemed a little bit shady, and now he wrote down the amount that he owes when he was here. He knows what it is.
Just so you know, I gave him my copy of this, and I gave him Mackenzie Engineers form.
Okay, good. All right, so he has copies of that. He also wanted to work out a payment plan, but, we've never done that before, so when they're approved, they know that the fees have to be paid prior to us issuing a permit, so.
And if I could just add my 2 cents to a payment plan, if it ever comes up again, I think we did go through that with Primrose, but that was an extremely unique situation. I think if we open the door to one vendor saying we're gonna issue a payment plan, it's gonna be a Pandora's box. Now, it's a commission vote. I would argue very strongly against even considering a payment plan, especially the financial situation we're in.
I would say no to a payment plan, because if you offer a payment plan, then you put yourself in the position of collecting.
Right, and then the
And
chase
then
is
you have
on,
no-
you need that
yes,
money for
you have no
I&I
leverage.
approval.
Right,
That's just an
No.
idea that the gentleman was
Yeah.
kicking around at the table at the time.
no.
And I said, I informed him it is a board decision, but he knows I'm against it,
No.
so,
No.
sorry.
Were you gonna be talking about that later? Maybe you
We
might
can do it
want,
right now if you want.
it's up to you if you wanna take a vote on it.
On
vote
the
on
payment?
Yeah, I would do it just on this individual, because you never know when you might
Vote on
want to.
Payment plan?
All right, I will make a motion that, we deny a payment plan for the Dwyer Street project.
I would second that.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor, Mr. DeRoss? Ms. Valley?
Right.
And Mr. Eschinger, that is unanimous.
All right, so I'm gonna ask again, why are we not putting these fees in a written letter?
He
Don't-
has them
He
already.
has them.
He wrote them, but why
No,
are we
he
not?
didn't write it down. I gave him a copy of this.
So I guess what I'm getting at is why don't we send them a letter saying, you know, you were tentatively approved,
I could do
no
that.
permit is issued, excuse me, until the fees are paid, and put it in writing, because if we ever have to go to court, what have we got?
We have this vote, it's in the minutes of the meeting.
All right, I don't have a vote, but I understand what Sherry's saying.
I'm just a
Probably.
documentation person.
All right, I'll tell you what,
Show
if you
me
want.
where we told
Okay,
him.
I will write a letter saying the board took a vote, we'll include the minutes of
Just
this meeting.
say, you know, yeah, currently these are the fees you owed, spell
I
it
have a
out,
letter to Mr.
based on-
Gaspar.
his thing, and
I'll
that
get
no
the-
permit is forthcoming until the fees are paid in full.
I understand, because he's already said he wasn't aware of the fees, and
Yeah,
he's gonna say
and
he's not aware of them
especially-
again.
Yeah,
Especially
okay,
if someone
what I'll do
is-
is I'll get the draft to Robin tonight or tomorrow, and she
Yeah,
can
yeah,
send it to you
I
guys
mean,
to
it's not
review.
a big rush on it, but I think
No,
at
but I
any
just want to get
time,
it done.
at any time the situation is questionable, you put it in writing, and then that removes
Okay.
all
You might have to
questions.
send this registered mail, because this guy's playing games.
Yeah, I mean,
Good idea.
All right, and what I will do, and I'll include again
Fees.
the fee structure.
yeah, and send them another copy of the rate sheet.
Oh,
Which, Robin, can we put a date on this form, so that we know when it's prepared?
Sue and,
Those forms are
Mackenzie's.
given out when they're approved at the table.
Mhm.
It's a work in progress until that day.
Understood,
So
but,
it would have to be, on the day of the meeting when they get approved, we would have to put the dates on at that time.
okay,
All right? I just,
You
we'll
just
have to,
if you could just make a line with a date,
yep, we'll
leave
just
it
have
blank.
to remember to do that.
and then, well, then it'll remind us to do that.
Yeah.
Because if you go back and start looking at these, it's really ambiguous on when, and then
No.
you have to do the research.
I like the idea of
Yeah.
documenting this guy after
Well,
what
that
I've
only
heard
happened
yesterday.
because we were modeling the newer ones on the older ones and then updating it. So in our mind, the last version that's on there is the version. Because it was a work in progress. But I see what you're saying. So the date that they get approved, I can put it in the notes at the bottom, date of approval.
Sure,
And we can fill it out.
sure.
Okay, so we're done with that one?
Yes, sir.
The task
Do you
order?
guys have any other
Um,
questions on what transpired with Dwyer Street? Dyer, is it Dyer or Dwyer?
That's
Dyer.
why-
Dyer. And there is no formal letter of approval that was written, true?
No. We
I,
go,
And again,
I know you guys started writing the letters, but I don't know if they got a formal letter.
Dave wrote a letter for 320.
guess he did, and it was a
We
good
could,
one.
we could write a letter of approval to Dwyer, say you were approved on this date.
Just, yeah,
Well, I think
include it in this
I
whole
think your new
thing,
letter
this
is
whole
gonna
piece.
suffice if you cover it in
Okay.
that
Cover
letter.
it in there,
Okay.
just put everything in there.
Okay, I will.
Mention, you said
you're
you want a
supposed to-
grinder,
that's-
put that in
that's
there.
water separator in too.
I'm trying to think, wait a minute, do I have the date of his approval? Yes, I do.
Yeah, anything that he needs to know, the grinder, the manhole pressure
And I'm
test.
gonna include, as a reference, I'll include a copy of the minutes from his approval meeting.
No, the letter's
Well, I
good enough
just
for
don't
now.
give him everything.
I would just note the date of the minutes,
All right,
date of the meeting.
Yeah, I think I'd make it simple too, because he's gonna claim he didn't understand it
Yeah,
probably.
Okay.
Yeah, just say, you know,
I'll
it was
reference the
approved,
date, the minutes on this
you
date.
know. These are the conditions, the
Okay.
grinder, et cetera.
You know, Chuck,
Moratorium status, whatever we need to tell
do
them
you know about
that.
the water separator they had to put in? That she'll probably pull that in I didn't know nothing about that.
That's not us,
Who's that?
that would be Dave.
Highway?
Highway?
Yeah.
Because this guy sounds like he's a,
Trust me, I'm willing to bet you my house that Dave's on top of it.
And the business about 2 weeks to open the street, does that come from us or from Dave?
That's
No, that's highway.
highway.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
What he was saying was the process takes 2 weeks before you can get approved.
Yeah.
The deadline to get approved is November 15th, and he hasn't
It's
even
2
started,
weeks, yeah.
so it's not gonna happen.
And this is not his first rodeo, he knew all these things had to be in place.
Mm-hmm.
is
It
he,
was just a long drawn out story, and it's a he said, she said, so
That's why
I
you
just
put
assume
everything
we
in writing.
document it
Yeah.
and then we just do a Pontius pilot of it.
That's why you put it in writing, exactly.
Okay, I'll take care of that today.
The next thing is the task order. I did get the signed copy, so I can,
You didn't get a copy of that?
I got a copy and I have the email from Chris Kenny, so we're
Okay.
all good. I'm just gonna file that away. I won't mention that again.
Oh, no, wait a minute, I got one last night. Did you get an hour's report from Veolia for September?
Yeah, you forwarded that to me.
Okay,
They didn't forward it to me direct, but I can't pay that because that's really not an invoice.
no, but I told them last night that you have to invoice the sewer department for that.
Yeah, they know that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I think that said that in their email, they were gonna produce an invoice once you approve the hours. But they're only in September, they haven't.
Right, they
supplied
have, they're
October. Okay.
compiling, we'll have October's next week.
Okay. And then, did we hear anything back on Shingle Mill after we sent that, email out to them asking
heard
for the
nothing.
timeline? Okay, so that's still pending.
I believe there is a meeting the 16th with the ZBA on Shingle Mill, I am not sure.
Okay.
I am sure, there is a meeting on Wednesday the 16th with Shingle Mill,
We're still
Yes.
waiting for the
Zone A.
the IPP permit application from Wholesome.
Yep,
And that's it for me.
thank you very much.
Before you leave, I have a question. Jen Constable sent us an email yesterday about ARPA funding, and Robin, you were copied on it?
I was copied on it and I tried to read it and understand it and I didn't and I really didn't have time to
And that's
research
my
into
question
it.
to you, if you have anything that you can add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I can look at it again, but honestly, it was,
I didn't see it, so what's it regarding?
Oh, okay. So, do you have any knowledge of the whole ARPA process?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of have a rough idea of how it works. I know everything has to go through Jennifer and I know that we have to do something up front to get the ball rolling, but I'm not quite sure from what
Okay.
she
I
said.
think we
Yeah.
issued the purchase order.
Okay, all right. I will read it and talk about it. I
You
brought it
don't
to
want Robin to have this?
No, she's got her own copy.
Do you want me to stay for that
Can you-
or am I,
No, I'm free.
okay.
You can go to
Free to go.
I can go back to lunch?
But go to lunch.
All right.
No,
Oh,
I've got
the reason
that to
why I
talk
had the
about.
phone was it had all the pictures. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna forward them to the email account and print them. And I'll keep them together, for that project over at the rink.
Mhm.
Now, can you drive in there now? That rink?
I don't know, I've been down there.
I s-
You know, I should, out of curiosity, I should take a run down just for the academy, see what they're progressing now.
The academy, I
They're
think,
going septic, but I'm just curious how
I
they,
mean, I hear they rent a whole, put all the kids up in a hotel.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Okay, I had drain layers license on there. The reason that was on there was for in case the Wyatt Street came in.
Okay,
Like I said, that
okay.
they were driving Robin and I nuts last week. I want to jump over one with the open contract for me to go to Veolia. I had a meeting yesterday, a working session meeting with Veolia. And the reason they sent it to all you guys, the reason I opted not, I wanted to keep those as working sessions, so we didn't have to go through the open meeting thing and all that, and.
You're talking the EPA report?
Yeah, it was coming, the semi-annual, report. What it came down to on that was on table, again, we're going back, they changed the numbers on the tables. You will be getting the final edit, well, the second final editing version of this by the weekend, and then focus on the tables. And I'll go through a couple of things they did. One of the notes they mentioned was the I&I tracker removal system. Now, what we opted to do is the way I had them structured this to be almost like a plug and play for the future, because I knew this thing is gonna be with us for a long time, and we didn't wanna go the expense being with the superintendent or a contractor pulling all this crap together 5 times over. So we added this column on the end.
Okay,
Now, for this first report, this column will be blank. But as we go along, the process will be the I&I, these are all the projects that the SSES study identified I&I removal. So as we go, we'll be filling in that blank as well as updating this map. So they got it broken out to zones so we can see where we've done the work. So in future reports, all this will be is just upgrading that one table and upgrading nickel dime edit. So, I mean, it should go just like that. Because we'll be working on this as we go along, every time we get
Yes.
an input. Just so you know, the bill for September with Veolia was about $4,200, I want to say. That was for a ton of hours. But naturally, the first time out of the gate for a report like this, it's going to be, how do you want to set it up? What do we do? We got all our information, so I expected that to be a heavy hit. I think we got off really light with the $4,000, to be honest with you. But
that's for
again,
September.
with this, we come along, the way we got the Viola and I set this up is that we just plug in the numbers as we go along. This table will automatically upgrade the map. So it'll just be, minor inputs. So whoever comes down the line for them, it'll be a nice, easy plug and play. And it'll be a nice way for the EPA to follow our progress, as well as us tracking monies. The I&I control plan, they're waiting on the audit. That's all they need for that, and then we should be getting that from Environmental Partners. The repair and the follow-up will be part of this form in that map, as I said. Table 2. Table 2 was the approved projects. They're taking out 1015 Hingham Street, that was approved. They're taking out Beechwood Estate, because Beechwood Estates has not even come in with the plan and they have nothing on the drawing board. They're gonna leave on the elementary school, Dwyer Street, 365 Concord, and Primrose is gonna be out because they're paid and connected. So the only ones in table 2 will be the elementary school, Dwyer, and 365. Primrose will appear in a footnote, but only for that. Pending projects.
What about 320?
320 is on pending connection. That's gonna be on a separate table.
Okay.
Pending approval. Because they have approval, but they're not approved to connect yet.
Okay.
So they're gonna show that. Other than that, all those others, Park and Howard, Bishop, Water and Liberty, Weymouth, and Holy Family are coming out until they appear before us. Then they will go on that pending.
Okay.
And to jump back in that two-family residence that Robin referenced has no impact on this.
That's true.
Because it's not part of the moratorium.
That's true. So all right, so so the pending is gonna have 320 Concord Street.
Concord Street, that's it.
Okay. So pending approval is really pending connection.
Pending connection.
Okay.
And that's gonna be the tables will be a little different in the report you see. John, you might have it tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tonight's Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
I would say you'll have it no later than tomorrow.
So
He's good. He's a very efficient guy.
So table 3 is approved pending connection, and the table 2 is.
See, I don't even know the numbers because
yeah.
he's juggled. I think what's gonna be table 2 is gonna be that chart I showed you. So those are the numbers. That's a little twist that we were trying to iron out, but he said he'd have that.
It's just a matter, it's the numbers are easy. It's a matter
Yeah.
of getting the right projects in the right place.
Right, and I think we have that all done.
So table 2 are the ones with plans and the desire to connect.
Right. He had a question on the moratorium, just to be clarified. I explained to him that we were working on a modification of the moratorium when the order hit,
Yeah,
but we rescinded that vote and we're back to the original moratorium. So the original moratorium of July 1st, 2021 is in place, and that's what will be referenced. I am not gonna let the EPA know right now that we are going to be modifying it as, in the future. Because what I wanna do is get through the fee structure, then we can
get something
modify,
done. Yep.
then we can modify the moratorium in case there's any fallback to that.
Yeah, that's done. the
So
road.
I think we should approach it with when we get rid of this report, our order priority should be, let's finish up cleaning up that ordinance in December, which the rules and regulations should only take us 1 or 2 meetings because we did it. It's all done. To just vote on the change of the rules and regulations. That puts the rules and regulations and the ordinance out of our way. We still have to prepare an article for town meeting to get the vote on the article for the grinder. And then I think come January 1, we focus full bore on fees, on what we want to do with a fee structure to go into effect July 1. Don't let me, you.
I would
please.
like to see the I&I fees discussion start in December. Just a discussion, doesn't mean we have to vote on anything or make any decisions. But
Okay,
I
when
think
you say
there's
okay, you're talking the fees
I'm
for
talking
I&I.
the fee for I&I, the $20 currently in effect.
Okay, then what I would
think
like
there's a
to
lot
ask
of-
is if we could go through, if you, each of you go through an exercise in your head about, you have a current fee schedule, how do you
Yeah.
want them to go? Do you want them to go by bedroom, bathroom?
Yeah.
Or do we wanna leave it blank and say, okay, review I&I projects as they come up? One of the, we don't wanna get too deep into it, 'cause
Yeah,
it's not
no,
on the agenda.
Right, no, I would like to see a general discussion on that in December.
Okay, I agree, let's see, cause
I think
that's gonna be a
that's-
real tough item. to
It's
hammer
gonna,
out.
yeah, it's gonna take some time.
Yeah, what I'd like to
Um,
do with that, just so you know, is I'd also like to bring in town accounting and other departments to voice some input in on it.
I mean, I know we give them the fee when they come in and are approved, but as we've just seen, between that time and final approval,
Yeah,
things can change. And
Right.
I think, I think that should be
Okay, no,
flexible.
let's
So
have it.
there's a lot to discuss in there. So start that in December. I think we should put the ordinance cleanup for January. That should give us enough time.
Okay, this should clean us up, okay.
Yeah, that should give us enough time to get
Because
it
the
to-
ordinance, we basically did, and
It's
it's just a
pretty
matter,
much
voted,
done.
it's just a matter, okay, here's the final
Let's
wording.
look
how do
at
we-
it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
a 5-bedroom house would be 2 bathrooms, most of them,
Yep.
you know, but.
Or do we go by bedroom? I think bedrooms.
I think
are the way to
bedroom's
go, I
more
think.
advantageous, right?
Okay, so we go, I touched base on
So-
moratorium. One of the other things they had was the additional alternative report. The EPA wanted that. That was one of their conditions. And I think they will understand, we had so much on our plate getting ready for, we had 3 submissions to do. There's no action on that because simply we haven't had time and that, we had to get the I&I in place, the I&I
Now,
work
isn't
in
that
place.
but isn't there an alternative to be covered in the CWMP?
That's going to be covered in part of the CW, but they wanted to see if there was any action on it.
Oh, okay.
And what I
No.
said is just put down, we've had no, very simple sessions,
action.
there's been no discussions on alternative methods yet. I explained the
And-
mapping on the GIS mapping will be updated as we progress. The GIS mapping for the residents shows the sewer pipeline on the townwide map. And there are different overlays for like highway, water, and one of the pages is sewer. And as we go through the I&I repair on one of the layers on our map will show on the town overlay, the areas of town we've repaired. So we're not going back and revisiting as they have in the past. We can, as we complete one, we could look at another area if we need be. So we have a map of the areas we want to complete. Once they're all done, okay, where's the next big hitter? And that's gonna be ongoing while the work is being done, so that's good. What was the other? Okay, the final edits to the board will be the end of this week. What I would like to do is I'd like to have a Zoom meeting for our next working session.
Okay.
With John Ayot, Paul Rodman, and I'm gonna open it up to the other vendors as well, if they wanna participate or just sit in and watch. Because this will be where we're going over the final submittal and to make sure it's all kosher for our vote that Thursday night. And I like personally, and again, when I say I mean, I'm just telling you my opinion. I need your opinion on this as well. I like the idea of all the vendors there, so no one can say, I didn't know what you were talking about, I wasn't aware, and we're pulling everything in because you know what, they own part of this report as well.
Right.
So if you're gonna have ownership, it's forever speak or hold your peace.
Right.
So we'll get them in on that. So what I would like to do is have that on November 15th, which is Tuesday. I would say 2 o'clock so we can, or in the morning, I'm gonna have John, 2 o'clock, I'm sorry, that's
Afternoon,
right.
please. Yep.
Afternoon, yep. has to be in the afternoon.
Yeah, I guess.
And again, knowing John, I don't think that meeting will be longer than 45 minutes, if that. But that'll be sufficient enough so we have the information. And I want to make sure we can explain it, that whole report, very clearly to the public on Thursday night meeting, the 17th. Tell them how we set this up, why we set it up this way. I'll go into some, I'm probably going to have John there to go over some quick overheads on how it's set up.
Mm-hmm.
And once we sign it off on that Friday, because it'll be a Zoom meeting,
Yeah.
I'll tell them that the submittal will be available that Monday morning for public consumption if you want. As soon as we sign it off that Friday, or that our meeting's Thursday, as soon as we sign it off that Friday, I get the signature page, I'll forward that whole thing down to council for their review and submittal. But it'll have our approval on it. And that was Veolia. Okay, the open contract discussion, I guess the only thing we have is the I follow-up, that 1-year follow-up project for 150.
So, I'm gonna mix this up a little bit because that dovetails with this email that I got from Jen Constable. So, and I'll get you a copy of this, but Jen says, she's talking about the ARPA funds for the digester boiler work, and she has a copy of the Hallam engineering proposal.
Yep.
And she wants to know if ARPA is the intended source for funding that. She needs the procurement documentation. So in other words, was this piping sent out for other bids?
The piping is, here's what I have, the boiler proposal went out to bid. The piping came in after they got through with this, after they went to that project. So there's been no procurement because we do not have the bid for the piping, the bid specs. That's been in progress. Rick's been telling me it's been in progress and in progress. Earlier today, when we went in to pick up the camera, when you left,
Yeah,
I asked Rick if he could come in and update us. He says, well, I haven't heard. And I said, okay, tell them I want them in for a meeting next week. I want the bid to beat you around long enough. I want the I want the specs for the piping. Once we get that, we can give that to Jennifer.
then it's gonna go out for.
Then it's gonna go out for procurement.
And
It's supposed to be a stainless steel pipe.
Yeah, it has to be stainless steel. This is one of
And
the
Hallam's
first.
gonna give us that?
Wilkinson.
Wilkinson.
So you can tell Jen that
Okay.
the vendor has been dragging his feet on it. If I can get him in here this Friday, I'll get him in here this
Okay.
Friday in his Fisher Cup 8.
Okay. And then the reason I interrupted you, because the I&I control plan, do we need to put that up for procurement?
I&I control plan was signed by Dave for $10,000.
Okay, but I'm talking about the year one.
Year one, we do not have to put that out to bid. That was, we're gonna pigtail that onto the I&I work where they did the design. It's gonna go, a request for engineering services. But that will probably be part of the ARPA fund,
Okay,
for the funding, right? That's what you were
right,
thinking?
right, that's what I'm thinking, because I
Yeah.
know we were looking to use part of the ARPA funding
Yep,
for that first year.
yep.
But it sounds like we
I
can't
could-
do that unless it goes through a procurement under federal procurement law, engineering services must be procured.
Okay, then I'm gonna ask you,
So maybe,
I believe you have a copy of this. This was the 150, this was for year one.
okay, yeah,
Now, if we don't wanna tie this into the opera fund, just say, let's do it for laughs and giggles here. Do we have the funding to fund that 150?
I'm not entirely certain, to be honest with you.
Okay,
Because there's a lot of other expenses that are coming through and being assigned to different I&I accounts.
okay. Can I ask you to speak with Jennifer, or would you rather I
Yeah,
explain it?
no, I can,
Okay, do what, you have a
and
copy of
I'll
the
ask her
contract?
about that, yeah. I'll make-
Okay, tell them, where this makes sense was that, well, where they designed the specs and the sequence of events for the I&I repair work, which is going out to bid. It's out to bid right now.
Yes,
This only makes sense that they follow up on the work. It's basically a guarantee to make sure the work is done right. This is setting up the year one afterwards.
yes. Do we, or can we, or should we think about taking that year one for a town article?
Unfortunately, that one has to start before. It has to start in April.
Why? Why can't it start in May or June?
You know, with the
Oh,
right
if
at
it's
the
a town
wet
article,
season.
it would be starting in July.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know, all I can say is run it by her.
yeah.
Do you want me to resend you another copy or CC her a copy of one?
Let me see what I have before we
Okay.
start sending stuff around.
Again, this is the one annual, year one I&I.
Yep,
It's for
Yeah.
150.
yep. I will send her,
What is this
you know,
one?
and I'll tell you, it's tough getting answers out of her.
Hmm?
It's difficult to get a full answer from her. I know she's very busy.
Okay. The other one is just a $49,000 to just follow through with the bidding and all that, which I think we should
Right,
sign.
which we
We did sign.
did.
Yeah.
And we're expensing that.
That is done. Again, when I think of it, ongoing contracts, Veolia, their monthly bill, we're just gonna take out of the superintendent's salary fund.
Yes,
And that's, and I was breaking it down, honestly. When you look at us paying a superintendent $100,000 a year and 28% pennies, $128,000. We're actually saving money doing
I know.
this, believe it or not.
I know.
right.
The drawback is all the ancillary running around in the background that we didn't see before that I'm seeing now.
Yes.
One thing we do gotta look at is, I cannot see for the life of me tying a superintendent up to a markup. There's so much more we could do. And that's why I
That's
pushed
the
that.
easy part. The superintendent is the one that should be doing all the ARPA work.
Right, the
all
Dwyer
the
Street
contract
project
work,
running.
The Dyer Street, the letters. Yeah, do we, can we ask Stacy to put our
Stacy-
ad in, I don't know, some
Stacy
engineering
did
form?
advertise in the Veolia area that I asked her to, with the one she advertised there.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna get some feedback from that. I gave her 2 other engineering sites,
great,
websites that she could
Great.
look at.
great. I really wanna put the push on for that.
Okay,
It's, and as far as the additional staff for Robin,
right, that's not on the agenda,
okay,
but what I wanna do is I'd like to keep pursuing that. Now, the last I heard on that was that Stacy, this is last week, had sent Robin a copy. I asked her to send Robin a copy of the job description, so Robin would agree with how it
yes,
trained, and the way Robin wants to set it up, and I completely agree, was that when this person does come in part-time, she learns all the nuances of Robin's job as well, as much as she can pick up.
yes, yes.
In case Robin decides to move on, or whoever's in that seat moves on. But
Which
let's
goes
put
back
that
to all the
on,
written procedures.
I wanna
and-
put that on for our next session.
Yeah, and I think I should check with Doug on funding.
Yeah.
I have something to tell you. After.
Admin position. Okay, where was I? I touched base that Veolia was going to be going to the superintendent. Last thing on the open contract, if you would be the Veolia bill for September going to the salary and the October bill. Again, what I want to emphasize to both you guys that I expected September and October to be high, only because they were in the same boat we were. We didn't know what was going on. I think we got off light, and again. The next item is the digester project and the piping update. The digester work itself of the boiler is done. It's just one final inspection to be done. Rick is gonna take care of that today. The piping update, he's been chasing them, and I've been hounding him for it, and we're getting nowhere. So I told them to send them an update that they're gonna be hearing from me today, and that I want them in for a face-to-face meeting. They've been beating around on this since, July with this piping. So I wanna find out where they are, and I wanna set a prints next week. So that's where that.
Right.
The generator, as you know, we rented a generator to replace that old tank we have out back, because it's down, it's spewing water, it's spewing antifreeze on the wall, they can't even keep track of it. So I had Rick put together a spec to go out to bid for a generator. There is a generator available. I'm gonna use a number $200,000, which is cheap. So I got a spec from him. I'm gonna put together a bid proposal, send it to Doug to put out to bid, and we'll take her from there. So hopefully we'll say give him 30 days. If he doesn't come in, that generator is still available. Veolia said they would put a deposit on it for us to hold it till next year, and we can appropriate it at town meeting.
Can I ask you a question?
You can ask me anything you wish.
Oh, thank you. The other one's going to scrap, right?
I imagine it would scrap it if they can salvage some parts on it, because those generator parts there will not even.
I know, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it'll probably go to scrap. I mean, it's 1967.
That's not bad.
No, but it's got some miles on it, and they don't make the parts. Rick can't buy parts. They found one guy that would retrofit a part for the water pump, and he is in Monroe or Monson, Mass. Something like that.
They're
So
rebuilding it, putting the bushings and.
I have no idea what they're gonna do, but I will prepare this for a bid package for Doug. I'll get that to him over the weekend, so I have it to him for Monday. Any accounting stuff that you wanna go over, or?
No, I think I covered it with the ARPA funds.
Okay, and I guess that's it. So, and we're in agreement that we're gonna start I&I discussions in December.
Yes.
Next meeting, I think I'm gonna table that assistant one for now, because we are coming to the holiday. Next Tuesday's meeting, I wanna focus absolutely, completely on the submittal.
Okay.
That'll be a Zoom meeting, be in the afternoon. You'll have your final edits of that, so make your notes on it, write them. Anything you have, send to John so we can have a cleaned up copy for us. John's good, he sends out this little itinerary of the meeting.
Oh, okay.
And
Yep.
and he goes right down the line, like that doodle is mine, it's not
Yeah.
his. I was trying to draw a quarter. That's all I have.
Okay.
With that, I'll
Are we
take,
meeting Thanksgiving week?
no, I didn't want it, did you?
Okay.
Once you bring the turkey sandwiches.
No, I'm not bringing lunch. We can go to JJ's over in Abington.
I'm better off going to place in Hanover.
Yeah, I'll take a motion in the meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, is that Pavetti's?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take a motion in the meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Second, okay, Ms. Ms. Valley,
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Hedges, yes, it's unanimous, the meeting's over.